Welcome back to Crypto Odyssey, where we talk about all things crypto, including technical analysis, fundamental analysis, news, updates, XRP, BTC, you name it, we have it here. In today's video, we're going to be looking at XRP on the monthly time frame. And it's a bit of a different video today. I'm always trying to come up with new approaches for analyzing the markets. On the screen, we have the Smoothed Heikin Ashi candles, which is a free indicator. You can find it located on TradingView right here. Jack VMK, Smoothed Heikin Ashi candles V1. Click it and pop it into your chart. I've already got it, so I don't need that. Now, I have gone through and counted out every single candle for each period, whether it be a series of red candles or green candles. So let's start at the beginning here. During this period, we had 25 red candles. And you can see that the red line indicates exactly where it started, and the green line indicates where those red candles came to an end. We're then followed up by the bull market that we had in 2017, where we saw 19 green candles. Following that, on the 1st of December 2018, we then had 24 red candles throughout our bear market. And then that came to an end on the 1st of December 2020. We had 15 green candles. And then following after that, another set of 15 red candles. And that period is really where it gets quite interesting. And we can kind of focus in on our analysis there. Why am I interested in that period? Well, the reason is, let me just get a rectangle so we can isolate that. This period is interesting because we didn't really see any color dominate. We didn't see the bears dominate. We didn't see the bulls dominate according to these candles, these Heikin Ashi candles. If anything, it's a 50-50 split. And what that's telling me is that this is a very consolidatory period. And I suppose that's consistent with our other analysis where we were talking about this period being one where we had extensive consolidation around 1200 days. If you were watching my previous video, you can find that on my channel. It's where I analyze the market similar to this in terms of time frames and how long we spent in each period. But this is telling me that this battle that occurred between the bulls and the bears, according to the Heikin Ashi candles, suggests a period of heightened consolidation. And when we see this battle between buyers and sellers over an extended period of time, what that is going to imply is an expansion of some kind of form. And it's going to result in a victor coming out of that battle. Now, this might sound metaphorical here. However, what it is suggesting is that there is some kind of compression. There is a conclusion needed to be had. However, it's taking a long time for it to occur, and it's not clear who it might be. When that battle is decided, then it becomes very clear what comes after that. And usually what would follow then is an explosion in price, whether that be to the downside or to the upside. Because we're seeing a battle between buyers and sellers. We're seeing consolidation, because that's essentially what a sideways market is. Now, I know it's not exactly sideways action here, because we also did see these moves to the upside, quite extensive moves, and this was considered a bull market or a failed one. This was an 862% move. Yeah, so quite significant. However, we only had 15 green candles. And then from the downside, I mean, it's difficult where you want to draw this, because if you're going to draw it from when the actual candles turned red, then it isn't going to be that significant, because price was down here, if you think about it. But we didn't turn red until this period. But we had already entered the bear market from 2021. So we have to analyze it differently here. We can't apply the same forms of analysis when looking at this chart, because we're mainly focused to see if there are any occurring patterns between these candles, and if they can tell us or paint a story for us in any way. But I suppose the fact that we have 15 green candles and red candles is suggesting that what might come after that is a more decisive run. If we compare what the market is doing today to that of 2017, well, we can see that it was very decisive during this period. We had 19 green candles and you can make out what the candles are. You can see that they are all green. If you look at the candles from the 1st of September, you really have to zoom in, and once you zoom in, you can actually see that these are all green. But take my word for it, I've counted it, and I'm not going to sit here because that doesn't make for interesting content. This was very decisive, and we know it's very decisive because of the long wicks that are above the green candles. The longer the wick, the more powerful the move. It's the same on the downside. When we see long wicks and prices moving down, that means that it is a powerful move to the downside. On the flip side of that, when you have these bars and the wicks are equal length on either side, that implies a different message. That doesn't suggest strength necessarily, even if there is a direction to the move. It is not as powerful as when you have a very clear side as to where the wick is situated. And you can see here in this period where we had our failed bull market, so to speak, the Heikin Ashi candles are telling us that this isn't potentially a very strong move. And that is why perhaps we only got 15 green candles. The same with the red candles here, although it could be said that the wicks to the downside are a lot stronger than the former. However, what we're seeing here is very interesting because we had 6 green candles, so that means that 19 of these candles were indecisive. They did not signify true strength and power, and that is also reflected in the price, the fact that we had this significant consolidation, where price is just going sideways. If I were to jump onto the Bollinger Bands, that would be ever more exemplified because of the fact that we can see price is compressing. This is like a pressure cooker. When price is compressed, it leads to expansion, ideally to the upside in bull markets and to the downside in bear markets. So this is good to see in the sense that we had this consolidation, even if it is green, because of what came after and what we're seeing right now. It's very clear to me that, and I don't think there's any debate here, that we have long wicks to the upside. What this tells us is that this is a very powerful move. It is not a weak move. It is a move backed by strength, backed by true strength. And that might imply that we are still going to see higher prices. Now, I've drawn out an extra 3 candles, which would be 3 months up until the 1st of August, where that would put us on 25 green candles. As of present, up until this point, we are on 22 candles. 25 is a conservative estimate taking into consideration what we've seen before. We've had 25, 19, 24, and then bar this period where we had contention, we had a contest between the bears and the bulls. What if we say, based off the fact that we had a battle between the green and red candles here, is it plausible that we might see 30 green candles? It's not impossible. Is it probable? It could be, based off the fact that we had such consolidation during this period here, where price was just confined within a tight space and was just itching to explode. Where would we draw that out? Where would that be if we had 30 candles? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that will take us to the 1st of January. Now that would imply that we have another 6 months or so. And I don't think that that is implausible given the fact that we have such strength in this move. And I suppose that's consistent with some of our ideas that XRP might have a longer bull run this market. It's a possibility, but at the end of the day, we will have to see what the market tells us. This is just speculation. These kind of perspectives on the market I find very interesting. I hope you find interesting too, because by taking a macro view, by zooming out and looking at the data from a big picture perspective, we have the data from historical price action. Why not speculate as to what the price could be in the future based off things like the Heikin Ashi candles? Because we clearly have some consistency here in terms of, well, we could expect somewhere in the region between 25 to 30 green candles. And where does that put us? That puts us here. Sure, we could see higher numbers. We could see 35, 40, because we had 15 green candles here and 15 red candles, which was an outlier compared to what we saw before. What's to say that something can't change again because we've got immediate price history that's different to what we were doing before? So again, you can speculate, you can analyze, and ultimately this helps build a holistic view of the markets. So if you enjoyed the video today, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe for future videos. I'm pumping out these videos on a daily basis, providing as much value as I can, my thoughts, my analysis. So if you enjoyed it, spread some love, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.